Hey everybody, it's Nick. I just got a quick update on a tutorial. Had some students ask me about how to import objects that have from 3dsMax with lots of objects, with lots of materials mapped. The method I posted before was a little bit tedious, and I totally understand that. So here's a better method that should work. What I have here in 3dsMax is I made like a teapot material that's pink and shiny and transparent, and I made a cylinder that's kind of like a stone, and then a different block that's kind of like a concrete. These are all meshes, and I've already gone ahead and updated all the pivots as I've shown you guys in the videos so that the Y is on top. If you look at the local pivot, there you go. Okay, so anyway, all that is ready to go. So 3 materials, 2 of them are texture mapped, 3 objects. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select them, go File, Export, Export Selected, and then just using the the usual method that we've been using. Go ahead and include the regular kind of settings, but just make sure that you've got embed media and you've got that box checked. That's the important thing for exporting materials. None of this is applying right now to animations or any of that kind of embedded stuff. I'm just purely talking about like a complex scene with lots of materials. So we're going to go ahead and export that. I've already got that file. Well, I'm going to go ahead and export it, I guess. And then go on to Unity. And something I noticed in some of the other videos I made, I had a materials folder and I had a textures folder, and they were separate. And then I kind of placed those materials back onto the prefabs. The method that I figured out, just by watching some other videos, that works better is to go ahead and make a folder for your particular scene that you're working on. And I have multiple scenes here, so my hierarchy is a bit different, but just go ahead and make a folder. Well, for now, I'll just call this my import or something like that, or imported objects, whatever, right? And we're going to go and open that up, and I'm going to throw that file that I just made into there. Okay, just in its own folder. I'm not putting it in the prefabs folder or anything like that. And so when I click on it, just as before, I've got the textures button activated, the materials button activated. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 folders here, one for materials and another one for textures. And so all that's going to go with that object. Go back and say extract textures, click on the textures folder, and go back and go and click on extract materials, click on the materials folder. And my materials are named like terribly, so I completely understand that. But if you notice, you look at this now, it's already got the textures mapped to it, just as it was in 3dsMax, and I didn't have to go into the object and actually drag these in here as I kind of showed in some of the other videos. The reason for that is because of the way that Unity remaps materials. And I'm not really a Unity expert at this point, but there may be some way to make that method work that I just showed in terms of like the way the textures are looked up and that kind of thing. But this method works like by basically placing them in proximity, within the same path as the asset. Looks like the import process is much smoother. Like is considerably easier. And I think especially some of you guys who have models that you've exported that have hundreds of objects, and some of them with different texture maps and stuff like that. This seems to be a much faster method. So anyway, something new I figured out. But for each of your scenes or whatever, I would go ahead, I guess, and make your own folder that has its own materials and textures inside of it for those objects. And you may want to go ahead and do that if you have multiple objects that are really heavy in terms of what's going on in the scene. Go ahead and just make a folder for each one of those things, and you might even put those under some other folder, like the prefabs folder, if that gets kind of confusing for you. Like whatever works. But this is a better method, especially again if you have dozens of. If you like in this case, I have 3 objects. That's not that big of a deal to go ahead and map those materials. But if you have lots of them, that's going to be hard to do. So anyway, I hope that helps, and I will see you around.